The Premier League season is almost here. Yes, it's been 2 months of wandering around, wondering what to do with yourself, playing FIFA and all that kind of nonsense. Getting involved in pre-season when you don't really want to. But football is back. The Premier League is almost back. It starts tonight. So what I thought I would do here on the channel is have a little look at some predictions that I think might happen. So that's what we're going to do here on AAFC. So some people are doing full league rundowns. Who cares about that? No one. You're doing too much. You're doing far too much. Who cares who finishes between 9th and 17th? You may just about survive relegation in 17th, but who really cares? Because you didn't go down, you didn't do nothing. So I'm not going to do that. I can't do a full rundown. I'm just going to look maybe between 1st and 8th. I think there's a big, massive scrap in those 8 places this season from 1st to 8th place. I think it's going to be really exciting for the Premier League. All these different teams fighting for different types of European competition, as well as Premier League itself. And then the bottom 3. I think there is a cluster of teams that could go down this season. The ones that have come up and also ones that are already established as Premier League teams. I think it's going to be really enticing and exciting to see what happens down at the bottom. I think last season, the end of last season, we kind of saw the relegation scrap take over the last day, especially seeing as, you know, the championship was already sort of done and dusted. And then we saw the bottom end on the last day drama there. So I think that could happen again for the Premier League. So that'll be really interesting to see. With my team, United, we're looking forward to seeing what Ten Hag can pull out. But we'll talk all about that as well. But this is something new for AAFC. I've never done a Premier League prediction before. So if you like this kind of stuff and it's interesting to you, hit a like on the video for me. That would be absolutely brilliant. Subscribe to the channel as well. Really new channel. So the more you subscribe and get involved and become a member of the AAFC team, the more it means to me. So thank you for that. Share it as well if you'd like and hit that bell notification for every time I drop content on this channel. Right, let's get into where I'm predicting the relegation teams for this season. Okay, so like I say, I think there's like 6 or 7 teams that potentially could go down this season. It really is a fight to the bottom for some of them. But in 20th place, I am going for Sheffield United. I just think it's a waste of a team, a waste of a space, them being here. I don't think they've improved the team. They've gone and sold the best player in Sander Berg to Burnley, one of the teams that have come up with them. They've still got Ollie McBurney. Perry Kenny's probably coming back and playing in goal for them. I don't understand what they've done so far in terms of preparing for this season, in terms of bringing bodies in. I just don't see them doing much in this season, unfortunately, for Sheffield United. You think you come to the Premier League, the money's here, really go and buy a few players to really help you kick on and get yourself established within this league and stay in there. They did it a couple of seasons, they stayed up and then went back down. And I think they're going to go straight back down this season. Sadly for me, Sheffield United, I think you are going to finish 20th. 19th now, and I think this team, unfortunately for them, are just looking like it's all going to come crumbling down. I've put Wolves in 19th place. I think the exodus of players, you know, Neves, Matinho, Raul Jimenez, although he's not the Raul Jimenez that was bagging the goals for them, he's still an important player for Wolves, and I think he's gone on to Fulham now. They've not really replaced him or some of the bigger players that have left as well, and I think the struggles are going to be there for them. You know, Lopetegui's just left, time of recording, and Gary O'Neill has come in as the manager. That's not an inspiring signing for me. So I think they might struggle this season. And if anything, with them going down, it stops them really boring games against United. Every time we play them twice a season, really boring games. And I think I can't wait for that to stop. I just don't see them doing much this season. I think eventually they are going to go down. It could be this season, and that's why I've put them in 19th place. In 18th, I really could have decided between 3 or 4 teams here. I think it was that close. I think Everton could look to go down. I don't think they've massively improved their squad as well. So I have gone for Luton, obviously another promoted side. They've brought some players in. Ross Barkley's just come in. I know they've bought Tahith Chong as well, ex-United player. I just don't think they've got the mix in there to last in the Premier League, unfortunately. I think people going down to their ground, I think they will cause a few upsets. I'm going to say it now. They'll beat Manchester United because Kenilworth Road is the type of ground that Manchester United historically will go to and absolutely struggle in the Premier League. It happens all the time. I hate it, but it just happens. I think they'll beat United, and I think they will get a few scalps down there, but I just don't think they'll, over the 38 games, have really enough to get through a season and stay up, unfortunately. But that could help them going down, coming back up. They could become that new Yo-Yo club, the new West Brom. We need a new West Brom. Maybe Luton are going to be the new West Brom. Just don't have weird mascots like the Boiler Man. Just don't do that and you'll be fine. Come up and down all you want. But it's nice that they're there. I like the fact they've come in. It's a different club, new team coming into the Premier League, some new blood for us to see. And hopefully, if they stay up, I think we'll be made up with that, won't we? I think we like them underdog stories where teams come up and stay up. I just don't see it happening for them, unfortunately. So yeah, 18th place on my list is going to be Luton. So now I'm going to go into the top 8. Why not? I think a lot of people doing top 6, and I think that's very easy to do. But I think there's so many clubs now. You could easily do the top 10. And I think I'll cut it down to 8. I think that's a good, nice number to do. And we'll go from 8 to who I think will finish first and win the league. So in 8th place for me, I think it's going to be Aston Villa. I think Unai Emery really came in January of last season and propelled them. They were really good. They beat Manchester United. And they really rallied under the manager. And he's shown what a great manager he is. We know he's got that Europa League prestige. And he had a bad time at Arsenal. But he is a good manager, and I think the players they've brought in, they've brought Pau Torres in, they've brought Diaby in, and added to what is already a great squad. I think that's just going to propel them even further, and I think they will finish 8th place. I know they're going to be in European competition as well, and that's something the manager will probably focus on. As we know, like I say, he does have that prestige in the European competitions. He will look to win it. Will that conflict with their league form? Potentially, but I still think they've got enough in that squad to finish in 8th place. In 7th place, I've gone for Brighton off back of another great season. De Zerbi really came in and upset the apple cart with that amazing football that he had. They've lost McAllister and replaced him with Milner. They've obviously got Dahoud as well. And João Pedro as well, young exciting striker from Watford. I think they've added to what is, again, another great squad. And I think they will go on and do some great things this season. Another team that's in Europe. Again, have they got the squad to manage Premier League and European competition? That remains to be seen. But what the football they play, how expansive they are, how they're on your neck from minute one. United really saw that in the FA Cup semi-final. And I think they proved they are to be up there with the big boys. And to say they're a top 7 club, I would say established top 7 club now, is amazing for a team like Brighton. So I think with a good season, another season under Zerbi, I think they really could be pushing. I think 7th, you could even look at it, they could push even higher than that. But I think the teams above them will be just a bit too strong, especially if they're spread over a couple of competitions, especially in the early part of the season. They may just dwindle off a little bit, and the bigger clubs with the bigger squads may just get a little bit ahead of them. So for me, Brighton will finish 7th. In 6th place, I may get some pelters for this. I just think, again, not the biggest squad, and with European competition getting in possibly the way in the league form, it's going to be Newcastle United. And I think Champions League, it's brilliant that they're there. First time in over 20 years is brilliant for Newcastle. Such a great club, great fans. And Eddie Howe really is, starting really well with that march to making them an established big club challenging for the big titles. And I think this season, dipping the toe in the Champions League might just add a little bit too much to their squad. They've brought Harvey Barnes in, they've lost St. Maximin, but Harvey Barnes is a great player to bring in. Tonali as well. Everyone's touting it to be an amazing signing, although he wasn't really starting for Milan last season, although he is a great player, great prospect, great midfielder. He's going to add steel to that midfield. You've got Guimaraes as well in that midfield. I think it's really going to add some spice to that Newcastle midfield. I think they're going to have a great season. I really think they're going to test everyone again, and I think we're looking to them to maybe even pick up a trophy this season under Eddie Howe. I just think, like some teams haven't got the European pressure that you're going to see a little bit later on in this list. I just think it might add a little bit too much for them, and that's why I've put them in 6th place. In 5th place, I've put Chelsea here. I just think with no European competition. Poch has come in. They can't be as bad as what they were last season. They've reinforced. They've brought some players in. They still need to add to the midfield, which I think they will do. And I think, I'm predicting it before they've done it. But I think they're going to spend some money. They're going to bring some midfielders in. And I think that's only going to add to them going through the season. I think fifth place is probably a great place for them. To go from where they finished to fifth is a massive jump. But I think they've got an elite manager in now. And I think they look really good from what I've seen in pre-season. And speaking to Chelsea fans that I know, they're really looking forward to seeing where he can take this team. And I think they do need that number 9. I think to go with Jackson and Brozier as their forward options, they need to bring in that really class number 9. The Lukaku thing is kind of hindering the team, and I know the fans aren't really happy with him still being around. Will he go? Will they get someone in? Vlahovic has been mentioned. He could be a good option, and I think Poch could get the best out of him. They need the goals, and they need the goals consistently. And I think if they get that in with another 1 or 2 strong midfield options, I think this team could do some really good things this season, especially in the Cups. And like I say, in the league, jumping up to 5th place is definitely something that Chelsea should be looking at. And that's why I've predicted that they will finish there. In 4th, it's another team I can't expect to have a bad season. It's Liverpool for me. I think, yes, they've lost a lot of midfield options, Henderson and Fabinho going, but they've brought in McAllister, they've brought in the lad Sloboslai. I can't say his name, I apologise. And they're looking at Lavia, or maybe even Caicedo. Rumours have come out today as well as I'm recording. So I can't expect Liverpool to have another bad season. Van Dijk is still Van Dijk, and I think they've got potentially the best ever right winger in the Premier League in Mo Salah. Banged the goals in for them last season. Their forward line is absolutely frightening. You look at Diaz, Jota, Nunez, Gakpo, and Salah. I expect them to be right up there. And I think they are in the Europa League. I don't think they'll overextend themselves in the Europa League to win it, even though you expect them in every competition they're in to look to win it. And I think with their league form, they'll power through, they'll beat teams, and they'll push right back in to the top 4, I think. And that's where Liverpool will expect to be. And I think maybe I'm more optimistic than some Liverpool fans on this, but I think that's where they will end up this season. I think they'll have a decent season under Klopp, and they will finish where I think they will, and that's 4th place. In 3rd place, it's my team. It's Manchester United. I think, listen, we've still got a lot of work to do within this squad. There's still midfielders that need to be sold and bought. I still think we are very light up top. The back line, Maguire is eventually going to be going, it looks like, which is great news. We need to go and get another centre-back in to replace him. Is it going to be Tabido? Will it be Pavard? Who knows? One of them two, they come in and it strengthens us. They're better than Maguire for me. So it's looking really good. Pre-season was up and down. I'm really excited to see where we go with Ten Hag in his 2nd full season. And I think Højlund coming in, Rashford, we've got some really good options up top. Further for me, Rashford shouldn't be a number 9, but it looks like he will be utilised there. Martial is always a question mark with his fitness. I know he's back training and sprinting, which I've not seen him do for a little bit. Hopefully he's on the mend. He will be important if he can stay fit. We still need another striker or 2. The Kane thing never happened, and we obviously have the question marks over the number 11, which I'm not going to touch on. Are we going to see Fred and McTominay go? Are we going to get Amram back in? Is there anyone else going to come into that midfield? I expect us to go from strength to strength. It's another reason for me to believe that Ten Hag is going to push this team even further, which I'm looking forward to. I can see us finishing in 3rd again. I think 3rd is a fair shout for this team. As long as we push closer to 1st, I think we need to close that gap for me. Get closer to 1st. Another cup win would be fantastic. And also we are back in the Champions League, which is absolutely fantastic. If we can do a good showing, I think quarter-finals in the Champions League would be absolutely brilliant for this team. That's another great season, and then we try and close the gap. Let's hope Manchester United can have another great season, but I will say, and I do predict, that they will finish 3rd overall next season. So now we're down to the final two, and I think it's going to be the same as it was last season. Second for me is going to be Arsenal. I think, for a long way last season, they were the best team in the league. Should have won the league for me. I think they were in the pole position. They should have really carried on and kicked on and won that league. To say they bottled it is a bit harsh, even though I will say it to Arsenal fans to wind them up. Why not? It's fun. But yeah, I think they're going to have a great season again. I think they've recruited well. Timber coming in is a brilliant piece of business. I think he could have been a United player before we got Martinez. I think we got the better end of the deal in that. I think Martinez is the better player. Definitely the better suited to what Manchester United need, being that left-sided centre-back. But he looks fantastic. I've seen him a couple of times in pre-season. Obviously, he played against United and in the Community Shield as well. He looked absolutely brilliant. So I have no doubt he'll fit well into that team. They've obviously gone and got Declan Rice, which is one of the best players in the Premier League in his position. How will he fit in that team? Will he be more withdrawn, or will he advance a little bit more with Partey in that midfield? Who knows? And they've obviously gone and got Havertz as well, and you expect Havertz to maybe look better and look more suited to the Arsenal style of play. So I expect them to have a great season and a kick on again another team in the Champions League, not been in there for a few years. So it'll be interested to see how they go in the Champions League. But I expect them to be there or thereabouts again. Do they push City a little bit closer this time with that year's experience? Some of these young players that play for Arsenal haven't had that before. They now know what it takes to be in a title race. Does that now mean that they can go and get a little bit closer to Manchester City? And can they push them all the way? Well, it's yet to be seen, but I expect them to have a really good season, Arsenal. So yeah, they will finish second for me. So that means, obviously, as boring as it sounds, Manchester City go on and win the Premier League again. You can't look outside City, unfortunately, for me. And this means them breaking more records. 4 in a row. Never been done before. They've broke plenty of records with Pep in charge of Manchester City, and I think they'll do it again. Unfortunately, I think they're just too good. I think Mahrez, yes, he has gone. Yes, they've lost Gundogan, but they'll replace within for that. They're looking. They've got Kovacic has come in from Chelsea. They're looking at Lucas Paquetá as well from West Ham for ridiculous amounts of money, and the juggernaut will just continue to move on. They've gone and got my twin, Gvardiol, has come in as well. They don't even need him, and they've gone and got him. The fact that they may be keeping Bernardo Silva as well as Kyle Walker really does cement them as the best team in the Premier League, I think. I think you look, does anyone say anyone other than Manchester City? If you do, I think there's some bias towards your team maybe. I think they are just too good. I don't think they'll go on and do another treble. I just don't think they'll manage to do that again. I think teams will be a bit more compact around them and look to really squeeze them this season. And I think the title race will be a little bit closer in terms of the league. I just think overall they will go on and win the league. And it could come down to the final day. It could come down to the wire. I just think they'll have too much overall. And yeah, sadly, I think City win the league again. So there we go. I've done a little prediction of what I will think will happen in the 23-24 season. It's going to be a fun one. I'm expecting more ups and downs, more trials and tribulations, and just fun overall for the next 10 months. So if you've enjoyed that, you want to see a little bit more from me on this channel, doing things like that, predicting or just talking a little bit more ball, let me know in the comments what you think of my predictions, where you think teams will finish in the relegation as well as the top 8, and I'll do more of this for sure. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.